What's going on, guys? It's Steve. So, LeBron James just came out, and he said, our team is garbage. We're top heavy. We can't do anything right now. Our team is just awful, and he tells the reporter, like, what the problem is. Like, everyone clearly knows what the problem is with this team. It's an obvious. There's no point guard. That's the problem. It's completely obvious. There's no point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Backup point guard there is. And if you know anything about the Cavaliers, LeBron James is their primary ball handler. Now, I know as much as I say Kyrie is a point guard, and as much as I say I think Kyrie's great, but I don't think he's great enough to be compared with Curry just yet, or like your Russell Westbrook or your Hardens, is because Kyrie Irving is not a playmaker. And people bring up the argument that, oh, well, he has like 6 assists per game. There's a big difference between having assists and actually being a playmaker. There's so much more that goes into it. And Kyrie Irving is not a great playmaker. He's not, and that means LeBron James is the primary ball handler. He has to run the offense. Everything is ran through him. So there's more to it than just the stats, right? So LeBron is really frustrated because if you look, the Cavaliers, I think they're 3-7 or 4-6 in their last 10 games. I think they lost 5 out of their last 7 games. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of games for a super team like the Cavaliers. And on top of that, you bring into all of these situations and you think about the past, and it's looking like what was happening LeBron's first time around. They're getting lazy. They've seen some success, and now they're getting lazy. For example, in the 2008-2009 NBA season, I believe they bought in Anton Jameson, or maybe that was the season after. But they went 66-16, right? But then after that, they brought in Shaq. Like, why are you bringing in Shaq, who's old? He was not even a shell of himself. So that it doesn't make sense to me. And I bring this up because they allowed Matthew Dellavedova to go to Milwaukee. Matthew Dellavedova is a great backup point guard. He's not going to give you a whole ton of buckets, but he's going to give you effort, energy, defense. Did you see his defense on Curry? Like, this guy is a great backup point guard. So losing him is a big toll. And this is why, I've said this so many times, this is why LeBron is playing like 37 minutes per game. If you look at other superstars LeBron's age, your Carmelo Anthony, your Dwyane Wades, your et cetera, they're playing less minutes. Melo is playing 33 minutes per game. And the reason for that is because when you get older, your body can't take the toll and the beating that it used to. So I feel bad for LeBron. I truly feel bad for LeBron because he's frustrated. I would be frustrated as well. Here I am. I'm the best player in the world, and I tell you we need a backup point guard. You get me Kyle Korver. Okay, great. I like that. But we need a backup point guard. Liggins and the other guy, McRae, I think his name is, they're not going to cut it. In a best of 7 against, Golden State with Curry and Livingston and KD and Clay and Dre and Zaza and JaVale McGee, it's not going to cut it. And Andre Iguodala, it's not going to cut it. It simply will not cut it against that team. And LeBron knows this. LeBron James knows this. And the sad thing is they just got destroyed. Absolutely embarrassed. I don't care how much they lost by. They got embarrassed by the New Orleans Pelicans. How you lose to the Pelicans when they don't have Anthony Davis playing? Now, I know Drew Holiday did his thing. I think he had like 25 points. Obviously it's the NBA. Everyone knows how to play basketball. Any team can win on any given night. But those are the type of games that you're supposed to win in your sleep if you're a championship contending team. That's the type of game that LeBron James should be able to rest in and not even worry about, losing the game. Those are the type of games that Kevin Love should only play, let's say, 1 quarter, or Kyrie should only play 1 quarter. And the same thing happened with the Golden State Warriors, and now everyone's questioning the Warriors. I find it funny how people always question teams when they go on like a tough streak, but when they start winning, it's like, oh, look, you see, look, they're so good, this and this and that. It's crazy. It's crazy how different everyone is in terms of when they're winning versus when they're losing and things like that. I mean, that's obvious, but in my humble opinion, I think the biggest problem with the Cavaliers is they don't have a backup point guard. They lost that with Matthew Dellavedova, which is why LeBron is playing those extra minutes. That's why he's playing 37 minutes per game. That's too much for LeBron. He's not 24 years old anymore. He's not 24, because if you were 24 and you were giving him 37 minutes per game, he would be averaging 38-8 like he did in that 2008-2009 season. And you would barely be losing games. But he's not that LeBron anymore. So you can't give him that many minutes and expect him to be able to produce as much as he can. Now, obviously, on a bigger stage, it's different because experience comes into play. But in a regular season game, there's no way LeBron should be forced to play this many minutes. There is no way. In fact, it should be reversed. LeBron should be playing like 32, and Melo should be playing 38, 37, 38, because the Knicks need Melo to play as much as possible. They need him to play as much as humanly possible right now, because obviously their team is dookie right now. And I like that one against the Pacers last night. I do enjoy that very, very much. But still, it's not something to laugh about, because it's a serious thing. LeBron and Melo, their minutes should be switched. And people are starting to talk about this again. Melo, I'll talk about that in a separate video, whatever, because I'm going to make a Melo video later on today about the All-Star thing, depending on which video goes up first. But yeah, man, so the Cavaliers need to get a point guard immediately. They have around 2.5 weeks, really 3 weeks, around 3 weeks until the trade deadline, and they need to do it ASAP. ASAP, because if they go into the NBA playoffs without a backup point guard, you're going to have to hope and pray. 1, Kyrie does not get hurt. 2, you're going to have to hope and pray LeBron doesn't get hurt, because you're going to have to be playing LeBron upwards of 40 minutes per game. And 3, you're going to have to hope Kevin Love doesn't get hurt, because if either one of those players get hurt, they're not going to be able to win. LeBron can put up the best performance ever, but he's not going to be able to do it. And, obviously, if anyone can do it, it's LeBron, but it's not going to happen against this Golden State team. In order to beat the Golden State Warriors, you need every single person to be healthy. You need depth. You need defense. You need offense. And the Cavaliers have all of that except one. They're missing the backup point guard. They've had almost 4 or 5 months to do it, and they still haven't done it. And LeBron is sitting there saying, we need it now. And he's frustrated. You can see. He came out and he said, it's been a pretty... No, he said, so far, 2017 has been shit. We've been shit. We're top heavy. That's what he said, and it's true. But at the same time, if you look at the history of super teams, it's usually like that. But for some reason, Golden State is not like that. It's weird the way Golden State works. And a major reason for that is because Stephen Curry has a lower contract than most superstars would have. But, that's because that was before. But, it's weird the way it works. It truly is weird, because if you look at most NBA super teams, they're always either top heavy or bottom heavy. For example, the Miami Heat, the first year they were together, they had Joel Anthony. They didn't really have Mike Bibby out of his prime. Mike Bibby was a good point guard at one point in time, but that was out of his prime. Was it Mike Bibby? I can't remember, man. I'm sorry, but you know what I'm saying. Even the Celtics, they didn't have that great of a depth, which is why they had to keep 2 of their stars in at all times. It's just the way it works. It's weird, but for the Warriors, they're in a lucky situation right now, but they might have to lose some of those role players once Stephen Curry re-signs and gets that max deal, because they're going to have to pay him. He's going to want that $100+ million contract like every other superstar, and, that's just the way it's going to be. That's it, man. My voice just cracked, and that hurt really bad. But, yeah. So, I think Cleveland, I still have them as my favorites to win the 2017 championship. I think everyone needs to cool down and relax, saying, the Cavaliers, they're not good, or, the Warriors aren't good, or, literally, I was watching, I saw ESPN First Take uploaded on YouTube, and literally, the thumbnail of it, it said, are the Cavs not as good as we thought? And then it was like, are the Warriors not what we thought they were? When literally last week, when they beat the Cavaliers, everyone was saying, the Cavaliers aren't as good as we thought. The Warriors are as good as we thought. It's crazy. Anyway, guys, I don't know, man. It's a funny situation going on right now in Cleveland. However, everything will be all right because LeBron always comes through. It's been Steve. I'm out. Peace.